Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The dialogue between Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi continues. And where we had left off earlier was with Yajnavalkya being surprised and delighted at Maitreyi's desire for this teaching, which makes one free of sorrow absolutely. We are not talking of freedom from sorrow for 5 minutes or 5 hours or 5 days or even 5 years. We are talking of that which once understood, that self which once understood as the cause of the universe, is naturally free of affliction, strife, etc. It is the Atma is like a Teflon Atma, non-stick. Anything that you throw on it does not stick. Why? Because it is naturally free from all the things that you want to be free from. It is naturally free. And the only thing that is denying this freedom is the understanding of this self. The self is somewhat known, somehow known, but not fully understood. The self is known to be self-evident. That I am existent is not a matter for controversy. But what is it that I am is not understood. And when that is not understood, then it's a very, very costly error, because the Atma, the I, becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of mistakes centered on the self. Like even the rope, which is mistaken for the snake due to bad light. Here also, due to the lack of the light of the knowledge of the Upanishads, the I is mistaken for all the things that it is not, causing there to be anger, sorrow, strife, and all the emotions from which one wants to be free. Maitreyi has distinguished herself as a mumukshu, a seeker of freedom. And this is the first step, to understand that I am seeking something which I am not able to attain or get without some help, and I need the teachings. This is the first step. Second step is to understand that the teachings alone can free me, and this is something that we will spend some time unfolding when we get the Vakya Atma va are drashtavyah shrotavyah mantavyah nididhyasitavyah, from which from which sentence we have got the topic for our retreat: Sravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. But let us just follow the text, because it is going to lead us there very, very effortlessly. Then, where did we leave? We left earlier with Maitreyi saying, what am I going to do with the finite wealth you are going to leave me, when I, like you, am also interested in understanding myself as infinite? Then she asks for the teaching, Yat eva Bhagavan Veda Tadeva Bruhi. since I'm not interested in your wealth, in your material wealth, cattle, lands, money, etc., I'm not interested in. But, however, since I am wedded to you, I am, I deserve to partake of the spiritual wealth that you are the possessor of. Very nice. And what kind of a wealth is it? It is it's a wealth of the knowledge of the self, and since the self is whole, this wealth cannot be shared half of the Atma to you and half to me. Atma ATMA, I you know, uh, I'll give you AT and keep MA. Not possible, because we are talking of something that is indivisibly whole, that is only one. Only one. You can't even say one of a kind. Indivisibly one. All that is there is the I. And so, therefore, this is something that that has to be wholly shared, cannot be made into a part, because the self is whole. And so she asks for the teaching, which demonstrates something important here. And what does it demonstrate? That this teaching is given only when it is asked sincerely. The teaching is not a place for, the teaching situation is a serious, sacred situation. It is not a place for uh, entertaining fancies. It's not a place for chit chat. It's not a place for some kind of a desecration of the sacred connection between the person and the Shastra, and the teacher necessarily being the mediator of the Shastra, the one who amplifies the teaching and makes it understandable. So therefore we take this situation very seriously. And so here we see the transformation of the husband into the guru. And so she says, "Oh venerable teacher, please teach me." And what does he say? He says, "Sahovacha Yajnavalkya priyabata are nah sati priyam bhashase ehi asva vyakhyāsyāmi te vyachakshanasya tu me nididhyasasva iti." And he says something, equally befitting. He says, "You were always dear to me as a wife. Now you are dearer still to me, because I am delighted to see that you are interested in the same thing that I am." And this is not like, the delight that is found, with a married couple who suddenly discover that they have the same interests. "Oh, you like hiking? Oh, I like hiking too. This is delightful." No, that is not what we are talking about. It's not that Yajnavalkya wants some companionship. You cannot have companionship in a quest that is extremely solitary. And he's also not a seeker anymore. He knows this. He just wants to live this life. So really speaking, it's not some kind of a companionship that he is delighting in. But that delight is the delight of the self, the I that is free of everything. And so he's very happy that his wife is now also interested in the same thing, that she will also get the benefit of the teaching. So now you were always dear to me. Now you are dearer still. How are you dearer still? Because you are non-separate from me. In establishing your interest in knowing this knowledge, in knowing this teaching, then that teaching is myself alone, and now that teaching is going to be you alone. So we are truly one in the only way that it matters. So then, having praised her with these loving words, he says, Ehi, what are you doing so far away? Come, Aswa, sit by me. Vyakhyāsyāmi te. I'm going to teach you. I will teach you. And Vyachakshanasya tume nididhyasasva. And whatever I say, listen to it carefully and then contemplate upon it. Meditate upon what I am about to say. And what he says is actually quite mind-blowing. Because one would think that, she's a new student, so where to begin? A for Atma, B for Brahman, C for Chit, D for Dharma. The ABCD of Vedanta he has to begin. But then, that is Vedanta KG, okay, kindergarten. But then, knowing her preparation, he just takes off onto a really high plane. Vedanta 501 graduate PhD course. So from KG to PhD in the space of one 1 second, he takes her. Very beautiful. It just shows his assessment of her preparation and she being willing to go right there. He starts off with a primary relationship, his own relationship with her. And then he says, you know something? A husband is not dear to the wife for the sake of the husband. Oh, this is kind of, shattering. Why? Because of the orientation. There is an individual orientation and a collective orientation. That conjugal love, or the love for a child, or the love for a friend, any kind of a love that is expressed for that particular sake, for the sake of that particular object of love. But this is a mistake. This is a mistake because this is a transference. And here is the transference of one's own emptiness, one's own pain, one's own self-ignorance morphed into a loneliness and a seeking for companionship and wanting something that one already possesses, that wholeness. And so, naturally, there is a kshepa, a projection, a vikshepa. And what is this projection? The projection is, oh, you so and so, whoever you are the answer to all my pain. You are the answer to all my sorrows. You are the answer to my loneliness. You are the answer to everything. And you see, this is a setup. And a setup always falls apart. Because the setup is where? In your own head. In your own head, you have what is called Shobhana Adhyasa. Adhyasa, a transference, a mistake, a projection. Shobhana Adhyasa, a powerful, positive projection. That so and so is going to take me out of this difficulty. And so therefore what? Therefore you are dear to me because you have that ability. And wherever you see that ability is actually, wherever you find that ability or perceive that ability is one's own disability to see that one is making this transference. A powerful mistake. A positive mistake here, because first there is Shobhana Adhyasa, a powerful positive projection. And then as soon as you don't get what you want, the person doesn't respond in the way that you had hoped, then it turns into ashobhana adhyasa, a negative projection. Same kind of, this kind of a transference of the self onto objects in search of happiness is an age-old thing, a timelessly happening thing. And this is where the teaching begins, really. I mean, it is so beautiful. Very, very beautiful. So he shatters this, this kind of a myth that objects are dear for, because they have the inherent, objects are dear to oneself because they have the inherent ability. Objects includes objects, people, situations, circumstances, things, everything. So the objects are dear to one because they have the inherent ability to transform the subject. So that therefore the objects become dear because they are imbued with a certain kind of an ability to make me happy, to make me free of something, loneliness, fear, whatever it is. So this kind of a powerful transference has to be checked, because only when the Shobhana Adhyasa, the powerful positive transference, and the Ashobhana Adhyasa, the powerful negative transference, when they are withdrawn, only then the teaching can proceed. Because both these kinds of transferences, what do? They inhibit the knowledge. Because one is only seeing what one wants to see. One is only seeing what one wants to see. One is not seeing what is there. One is projecting one's own reality, thereby missing the reality that the Upanishad wants to teach about you. And so therefore, he starts off with the basic relationship here, and the most prized relationship in the world, which is some kind of a conjugal partnership. So he says, it's very long, one sentence, and that one sentence is actually in my text half a page without full stop. Okay. Sahovacha nava are patyuh kamaya patif priyo bhavati atmanastu kamaya patif priyo bhavati nava are jaya yai kamaya jaya priya bhavati atmanastu kamaya jaya priya bhavati. There is no full stop. I am just stopping. Okay. Yeah. So he said, Nava are, not indeed, my dear, patyuhu kamaya, for the sake of the husband, patihi, the husband, priyo bhavati, the husband becomes dear to the wife, not for the husband's sake, but why? Atmanastu kamaya patihi priyo bhavati. The husband becomes dear for the sake of oneself alone. What does this mean? We'll see. But this is something which is very, very big. Because here I thought I was caring for the spouse, the husband or the wife, and then he, being a fair man, he flips it also. Nava are jayayai, jaya means wife. Jayayai kamaya, jaya priya bhavati, atmanastu kamaya, jaya priya bhavati. The wife also, similarly, is not dear to the husband for the wife's sake, but for the husband's own sake, for his own sake. Atmanastu kamaya, jaya priya bhavati. This is a very, revolutionary way of understanding the truth of the self. And understanding the needless fancies that one gets obsessed with. The obsessive fancies, which then turn into powerful projections, which then convince one that this is the person, they are the thing, that is the answer to something that I am wanting or needing. So Atmanastu Kamaya means that the self is already pleased. the displeased self does not exist. Oh, what are you saying? The displeased self does exist, and in fact, I am very displeased. That also is a projection. That is a perception. In fact, it's a misperception. That you think you are displeased is a misperception. And that is itself a negative projection upon the I. And so, one has to, if one listens to this teaching, the first place to go is to understand that it is impossible for the self that is being revealed in the Upanishad to be displeased, because it is naturally pleased. That is why it is so beloved to one. That is why Vedanta becomes delightful, because it's all about me, me, me. It's all about I. And that's why you can listen to it endlessly. Because your favorite subject matter, which is you, is also the subject matter of Vedanta. How convenient. That's why you can listen to it endlessly. Because it confirms what you somehow, in some corner of your heart, your mind, already suspected and secretly knew. What is that? That you are Ananda. That is why unhappiness is an aberration. Fear, pain, sorrow, and all, anger, jealousy, they are all aberrations. So, when you have fear, you want to get rid of it. When you have sorrow, you want to get rid of it. Why? Because you know this has nothing to do with the I. You want to keep it at bay. You cannot really live with it. You know it has nothing to do with you. And it's not just you, people who are interested in, spiritual growth and taking such classes, listening to such classes. It is everybody. Even pharmaceutical companies know that sorrow does not belong to the self. That is why there are so many more and more antidepressants. Pharmaceutical companies also know that anxiety, fear is not part of what you call the self. That is why there are so many preparations to address the pain, address the sorrow medically. Very, very interesting. So you know this. And so the teaching here confirms what you secretly know and were hoping is true, and were still finding it very elusive to how to make this knowledge one's own. That is why the Upanishad and the teaching is very delightful. And despite or amidst this delight, some scales of subjectivity have to come down, where the setup is that such and such a person is going to be my savior. Never. Not the spouse, not the child, not the friend, and then not the house, not one's possessions, not the job, not any other relationship. Not even the Guru can save you. Oh, now I am really anxious. I thought the Guru's job is to save. No, Guru's job is not to save you. Oh, then what is the Guru's job? The Guru's job is to point out that you are already saved and you don't need the Guru ultimately. There is one saying. And what is the saying? When you are ready, the teacher appears. And it's a very nice, saying, because you can feel hopeful, you can, have some kind of a good feeling. But then, in Vedanta, that saying is turned upside down. And what is that saying? Now we have a new saying. When you're ready, the teacher disappears. How? In you, as you. That is the teacher. Your teacher is not going to participate in your codependency. That is not the teacher. And the teacher has no business saving anybody anything from any, perceived danger they may be in. Oh, but I am in danger. Call 911. That is the correct thing to do. If you are in danger, call 911. There is a system set up for all this. Empirical danger. No, but I am in spiritual danger. Study. That's all there is. So here, this codependency in life is the first impediment to knowledge. And that has the scales of that subjectivity, that somebody somewhere somehow is going to save me and I am going to hold on to them for dear life because they are the ones making me pleased, is a wrong conclusion, a dangerous conclusion, a setup that can only end in disaster. So therefore he has this long list. Then what? Nava are putranam kamaya putrah priya bhavanti atmanastu kamaya putrah priya bhavanti nava are vittasya kamaya vittam priyam bhavati atmanastu kamaya vittam priyam bhavati. So nava are, not indeed my dear. The children become dear to one for the sake of the children. Children become dear to one because one hopes that because of their existence, I will feel better. This is called codependency. Oh, so and the teenager knows this. That's why the teenagers, especially those who grow up in the West, and even in India now, they ask this question. If the parents tell them, oh, you should behave like this, you should do like this and all these things, they will say, I didn't ask to be born. I don't owe you anything. they will say on the face. They will give an instant Vedanta lesson, a very irreverent Vedanta lesson they will give. And so then what? And then the children become dear to you not for their own sake, but for your sake. And you become dear to the children again, not for your sake, but for their own sake. Then the next thing, after finishing the significant relationships in one's life, then he moves towards the other big significant, blockage. What is that? Money. There is a lot of hope invested, pun intended, in money. That the money is going to save me. And I'm not going to go hungry because I have money. And then I am safe because I have money. Because money spells security, which is wrong because that is a Shobhana Adhyasa upon money. In fact, it can go like that. That's what happened during these depressions. Everything. Money loses value and then what? And then it has nothing. You can just use it to warm up the fireplace as kindling. That's all it is worth. Sometimes it happens. There's a global crash, the mechanisms of which even economists do not understand and cannot anticipate, and then all that you have collected, thinking that that is your ticket out of sorrow and insecurity, is gone in a flash. So the money is not the savior. You yourself are your own savior, really. In fact, you don't even need to save yourself. The vision is you are already saved. The vision of Vedanta is not a salvific vision. You don't need anybody to save you. You are already okay, and that you have to understand. That is why Shastra, that is why teaching. So the money gone. And then what? Nava are brahmanah kamaya brahma priyam bhavati atmanastu kamaya brahma priyam bhavati nava are kshatrasya kamaya kshatram priyam bhavati atmanastu kamaya kshatram priyam bhavati nava are lokanam kamaya lokah priya bhavanti atmanastu kamaya lokah priya bhavanti nava are devanam kamaya devah priya bhavanti atmanastu kamaya devah priya bhavanti nava are bhutanam kamaya bhutani priyani bhavanti atmanastu kamaya bhutani priyani bhavanti nava are sarvasya kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. Amazing. Really amazing. So then, after tackling the money, then he goes to dismantle the Shobhana Adhyasa or the Ashobhana Adhyasa, whatever they might be operating with regard to the hierarchies in society. And those days, the Brahmana, Kshatriya were at the top echelons of the social strata. And so, the Brahmana and the Kshatriya, oneself as Brahmana, oneself as Kshatriya, or other Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, do not become dear for the sake of some social balance or anything like that. They become dear to you because of your own sense of lack, your own sense of dependency upon them. And it's all a one-sided love affair with everything that everything that becomes dear to you is a one-sided love affair, because the Atma is already the Prema Swarupa. Prema Swarupa means it is in the form of love. It is already in the form of love. And then what? Then what? Then the next one is Nava Are Lokanam Kamaya Lokaha Priyaha Bhavanti. Lokas. Because you see, Loka means various places. Here, those that are visited after the body falls. After the body falls, something continues. What is that? The Atma, along with the, powered by ignorance, called the Jiva here, the Jiva continues. And since it is fueled by ignorance, it will seek various places of experience called fields of experience called lokas. And we have 14 lokas that are listed, 7 up, 7 down. Up means comfortable situations, down means not so comfortable situations. So after death, depending on one's karma, how much good karma or the other karma one has, one goes to pleasant or unpleasant lokas. And naturally you want them to be pleasant lokas, so then you try to reserve a ticket in that loka while here on earth through japa, meditation, through puja, through yajna, all these things, through fire rituals, etc. So why? So everybody loves Brahmaloka because it's the top tier, 7-star hotel, because it's the 7th one there, So 7-star hotel. So there is room service? Yes, there is room service. So what can you order in room service? Kathopanishad on a platter. That is what? It's a place of teaching. So Kathopanishad for lunch, Mundakopanishad for dinner, and Bhagavad Gita for breakfast. That is what you can keep on ordering. It's a place where you are taught. Oh, but here also I am being taught. Yes, better to recognize that. No need to prepare and go there to study Brhadaranyaka Upanishad. So this is, it's much easier to study it here than to go to Brahmaloka, because going to Brahmaloka, if you have a plan of going to Brahmaloka, then you better resign from your job, resign from all the seva that you're doing, because half the time you'll be in front of the fire pouring ghee into the fire, and the other half the time what will you be doing? Eating and sleeping? No, no, no. You will be meditating, and even then Brahmaloka might be missed. So it's going to Brahmaloka to study Vedanta is like doing pranayama with the hand coming from that side, when you can just easily catch the nose straight away. It's a roundabout way. So the lokas are dear because this life is gone, because I feel like I have made a mess of this life. So let me at least retire in some loka. No, the lokas are also impermanent. The lokas are also finite. And don't think you can go to Swarga. Swarga means heaven. And then what? And then get a green card. How to get a green card in Swarga? Marry one of the nymphs, Apsaras, Menaka, Urvashi, Rambha, all these people. No, they are also on temporary visas. You can't settle there because you are unsettled right here. If you are settled here, you can be settled anywhere. If you are unsettled here, no matter where you go, you will be unsettled. Unsettled will be your first name. And so you can kiss the lokas goodbye as a big prop that is going to save you. They are not going to save you. And then what about all the devatas? Saraswati, Lakshmi, and then Ganesha. These are all devatas. Bhagavan in the form of various functions and various forms. Same Bhagavan. And then, so what about all these devatas? And every day you are offering garlands and you are offering Naivedya. Here, please have this. Make this dish of fruits into prasad. And here, take an arati. And then one tells oneself, oh, if you forget the arati, Bhagavan will feel bad. That which feels bad is not Bhagavan. That which misses your arati and is living for arati, your arati is not Bhagavan. Arati is for whom? You. Aradhana, puja is for whom? You. Yajna is for whom? You. Finally, and this is very, abundantly evident, prasada is for whom? You. Because you offer a dish of dry fruits and then what? Then you distribute it among yourself and eat. You eat it. Bhagavan doesn't eat it. That's how it shows it's for you. Bhagavan is not going to eat it. Because Bhagavan is, it's not that Bhagavan is not hungry. It is that Bhagavan is not lacking in anything at any time, anywhere. Purna. That Purnata is you alone. This is where the teaching is going to go. But this big, chunk of this wrong transference onto people, objects, situations and things as a ticket out of what needs to be addressed within oneself. This is a disservice that you are doing to yourself. Wake up, Maitreyi, this is all just a farce. That you think you are in love with me, starting with that is itself a big farce. You are not in love with me, you are in love with yourself, which you need to understand. And since you are in love with yourself, that is what you have to understand. That is what you have, that self, when you understand it as all love, then this seeking, this loneliness, this pain will definitely stop. That is where the teaching is headed, very beautiful. And then, Nava are bhutanam kamaya, bhutani priyani bhavanti, atmanastu kamaya, bhutani priyani bhavanti. Then what? Bhutas. Bhutas means all the things in the Jagat, starting with the 5 elements. Bhuta, bhautika. Elements and things that come out of the elements, elementals. So many things. You go outside early morning and there is a nice breeze. You are the ticket out of my feeling bound. No. And then neither the naturally Bhagavan air-conditioned breeze is your ticket out of your discomfort, neither is the sun, nor is the moon, nor are the waters, nor is this earth, nor is the fire, nor is space. They are not the tickets out of your misery. And this is, this applies to all the nature buffs. I mean, nature is something to love, definitely. It's lovable because it gives you a little respite from yourself. It from that complaining self, it brings you back to yourself. So no harm in taking a walk by the beach or in the woods or in the mountains. That is wonderful. It's refreshing. But to depend on that, thinking that is what is going to take me out of my misery, that is the wrong notion. And this notion is disabused from Maitreyi's head unceremoniously by Yajnavalkya. He starts on a very, what appears to be a harsh note, but she is ready for this. Otherwise, she wouldn't have asked him to teach her. She is ready to go there. And then, finally, having run out of things, to say, what other things to think about. And also, perhaps, so the coffee was getting cold. So he sums it up. What does he say? Nava are sarvasya kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. He sums it up. Not indeed, my dear. Why? You know what? Everything becomes dear to the self for the sake of that thing. That thing shines because the self is already shining. That thing that you are in love with shines after you. That is the teaching. It's so beautiful. You are the original shine. Original means what? You are just there. There is no replica. You are the shine. And then what? Anything that comes within your purview borrows that shine from you. And since you are that shine, you are not able to objectify that luster, that timeless glow, the glow of timelessness, the glow of ananda, the glow of being, all love, the glow of being without complaints. You're not able to objectify that as a thing. And one is used to just having and holding everything that one wants to possess. And here it is not possible because the self is not an object. It cannot be possessed. It is the nature of the one who is possessed by all other things. This is what one has to understand. It cannot be possessed because it is you. It is the nature of you. You who can possess everything cannot possess yourself as an object. It can only be known because it happens to be self-evident. And so, the luster of this self, the luster of everything that I want, that timeless, spaceless, beautiful, without a second, timeless, spaceless I, that is not confined to being an object, that is not confined by time, that is not confined by space. This is the one that I don't know. So when the eye stands and the luster of the eye touches everything, because the truth is every other body, every other thing in this world shines because of the presence of the eye. So you cast the light and are in love with that which you have cast. You are in love with yourself, that you see in the other. And if this is not understood, misery and sorrow ensues. It's like the moon shining in borrowed light. Everything shines in borrowed light. You are that light from which everything borrows its existence, because there is only one source of existence that happens to be you. No other thing can say this. And that is why the mantras that we chant for Arati reflects this teaching. Na tatra suryo bhati, there the sun does not shine. Na chandra tarakam, not the moon nor the stars. Nema vidyuto bhanti, kutoyam agnihi. What to talk of lightning or this miserable little oil lamp or camphor lamp that I have in my hand. That camphor lamp is knowledge, because camphor burns without leaving a trace. Whereas oil, some wick or something is left. Here there is nothing left. Camphor burns without a trace. So what to talk of this little light? And then, tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam, because of whose shine everything comes to light, because of whose shine everything is delightful, because of whose shine means presence, whose presence everything is delightful. Tasya bhasa sarvam idam vibhati. because of whose light everything becomes delightful, because of whose presence everything is existent. That is the I that Maitreyi wants to know. That is the I that Yajnavalkya is teaching. Very, very beautiful. More we'll see in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.